My name is Dave Kosak. I'm a quest designer for World of Warcraft Cataclysm. The old world, the original Azeroth that's been around for 6 years now, has been in some cases completely destroyed. So they're going to see huge changes to the environment, giant chasms opening up, volcanoes have exploded across the landscape. That's exciting. People will be able to fly in the old world. You can fly around, which players have been asking for years, and that's going to be a huge deal. I mean, it makes the world seem so much more together to be able to explore it that way. When the game was released, it wasn't meant for flying mounts, so we did a lot of tricks like you would do in Hollywood, like sort of fake backdrops and fake city fronts that, you know, from certain angles looked okay, but as soon as you flew in the air, they looked terrible. So we had to really redo it, but it gave us a chance to really just brighten up the world and do some amazing things. I mean, some of the environments look fantastic from above, particularly the big cities. Stormwind, once you see Stormwind from the air, I mean, you'll never look at it the same again. It's absolutely beautiful. In addition, there's 5 extra levels of content, parts of the game that have been locked off for years, like Mount Highjaw. Players are going to be able to explore and use that to level up to 85. I think the fact that people were familiar with the old world and the old content really gives them an attachment to it, and that actually works to our advantage because you really have an emotional connection to these places. People recognize places like South Shore, and then when you see it destroyed and taken over by the Scourge, it means something to you because you remember it. You remember how it was before it was destroyed, and that sort of emotional resonance, I think, makes this expansion very powerful.
We have 3 raid zones to begin with. We have the Blackwing Descent to see what's been going on with Nefarian and his sister Nixia. Then we have the Bastion of Twilight, which is kind of the build-up towards the Twilight Hammer and the ultimate confrontation with Cho'Gall. We also have the Throne of the Four Winds, which is our Skywall raid zone. This is a new type of dungeon for us up in the sky where players will get to see some genies and elementals up there. And of course we have the PvP-style raid zone beneath Barrett and Hold as kind of the equivalent for our Wintergrasp. The Deathwing raid won't happen yet. We want to build up to that. That'll probably be in, you know, say 4.2 or 4.3 is our big climax for Cataclysm. It's going to be a very different sort of boss fight fighting Deathwing. He's gigantic. He's not going to be in a room full of whelps like in a Nixia fight. It's going to be something totally new. You do encounter Deathwing as you level up. He has a couple of cameo appearances. I believe he shows up in human form and also dragon form. I mean, he's one of the largest creatures we've ever made, so when players see him, you kind of have this beginning of the Star Wars moment when he flies over you like a Star Destroyer and just keeps going and keeps going because he's so massive.
But at last, the whole of Azeroth will break.
So I think in retrospect, looking back at Wrath of the Lich King, we might have erred a little too far on the side of the casual player. We were really excited to get so many players into Naxxramas and into the later raid zones, but we did get some feedback from the media and from players that maybe we've made things a little too easy, and some players were looking for more of a challenge. So in the 5-player dungeons, particularly the heroic modes, and then in the raids, we're going to step things up a little bit. I think gear will be a little harder to get. We won't be showering players in the epic purples so quickly. They'll get there, but they'll have to work at it a little more.
The new gameplay does a much better job of telling a story and guiding you through the experience. You really can start a zone and you'll get an introduction to the zone and you'll get kind of step through cool things are going to be happening. There'll be a lot of variety to the gameplay. You're never going to really be lost as to what to do next. And you get kind of guided through a story and then there's a big climax to the zone and then there's an obvious place to go next. I think it's a much easier experience than in many ways, years ago, we kind of wanted players to kind of try and figure it out and thought that would be part of the fun.
MMOs used to have this concept of, well, you have to kind of earn the fun. You know, you're going to grind through the first few levels and you're not going to have a lot of fun, but eventually it'll be good. And we think that's kind of an antiquated philosophy. We want players to have fun right from the beginning now.
And I think there's a huge audience out there. I mean, I don't think we're at all, you know, come close to a cap. We really do think it's a cool world and it's very accessible, and we really want more people to join in.
Well, our development staff, I mean, we're a bunch of gamers, and we play everything from casual games to handheld games. There are great portable games out there now, and we look at anything that's great. Achievements are a good example of something that didn't really exist back when World of Warcraft launched, but then you have like the Xbox 360 and games like Team Fortress that do such a great job with achievements. So we thought, that's a great way to add more content to the game without adding a ton of complexity. So, we're pretty good about stealing ideas and when we see them and trying to improve upon them and get them up to kind of the Blizzard level of polish. We care about the experience. We want players to enjoy it. I think it's hard for new MMOs coming along to kind of compete with that legacy. We've got 6 years of features and content going in there now. And fortunately, because of Blizzard's success, we kind of have the luxury of being able to take as long as we need in order to get out the AAA quality that our fans expect.